What is going on, Debt Free Mafia? Hey, welcome to today's video. How are you gonna crush it in 2022 with your finances? Today I want to talk about a step-by-step process that you can use to be able to crush it in 2022. If you felt like you're just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, if you feel like you are just tired of feeling like you can't get ahead, feel like you can't go on the dream vacation, feel like you just got so many debt payments that you can't even fathom, you know, what it would be like to be out of debt, right? So it could be anything. Maybe you're out of debt. Maybe you just don't know what to do next. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why I have an 8-step program. Essentially, like it's AA. No, I'm just kidding. But this 8-step program on how you can find financial freedom that you've been desiring, how you can be financially bulletproof, and how you could be able to leave a legacy to your children's children. Guys, if you don't know me, my name is Rick. I am the owner of the Debt Free Mafia, and I'm so glad that you're stepping into this video to check it out. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit the like button for me. It just helps me out, supports me. It's the easiest way to support me is hitting the like button. Also subscribe if you are interested in that lifestyle I was just telling you about. If you're interested in that debt-free lifestyle, this is the place for you. So let's talk about it a little bit, all right? So this is one of the first things I want you to do. Before we even get into the 8-step program, I want you to list out your 5 biggest goals that you have financially. Maybe it's be able to have a cushion. Maybe it's be able to be debt-free. Maybe you want to pay the house off early, or maybe you feel like you're missing out because all your friends are investing in all these fun things and you just don't have enough money to do it. Maybe you got a hobby that you love. Maybe you love fixing up old cars or fixing up houses and you just don't have a ton of cash to be able to do that. Maybe you really want to go to Europe or New Zealand or Hawaii or Cancun or XYZ. You really want to travel, but you just don't have a lot of money to do it. And right now you're putting it on credit cards when you do travel and you're having to pay for it over time with interest, and it's just not fun. This is going to be for you. So I want you to set those 5 goals that you have. Be sure to write them down, because statistically, goals that are written down are more likely to be hit. So write them down. And this is kind of something I want you to do. After you have them written down, I want you to start asking yourself every day, maybe put it somewhere you can see so you can be able to look at it. I want you to be asking yourself every day, is me, future me in 5 years, proud of the decisions I made today to hit these goals, right? So it's kind of one of those selves where you're keeping yourself accountable with yourself. Really ask yourself, is this really putting me in position to be where I want to be? So let's go ahead, we're going to jump into it. Let's talk about the 8 steps that I recommend for you to crush it financially in 2022. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump into it. So these are my 8 baby steps, right? Okay, so we got here. First one, create a zero-based budget. You don't have to have a zero-based budget. It's just the most effective one. It's the one I recommend to the clients that I work with. Essentially what it does is it takes all your income and all of your expenses, and when you subtract your expenses from your income, they equal 0. And you might say, well, that's just not going to happen. Well, you might be right. Hopefully you're not short, right? Hopefully your expenses don't outnumber your income. Hopefully you have more income than you have expenses. So you're saying, what do we do with the extra? Well, the way a zero-based budget works is you need to be putting all that extra money to work somewhere. So we're going to talk about what areas you should be putting it to next. Okay, so this first one, this is our baby emergency fund, right? So it's $1,000 to $2,000. The reason I do this is because I want to focus hard on step 3 after we get this. So I really don't want you to have more than $2,000 set aside. Reason being is because if you have debt, that debt's going to be there whether you have an emergency fund or not. So if we can get rid of the debt and get rid of some payments that you're dealing with, you're going to be able to bump up your emergency fund much faster, because, like, let's say that your car payment is $700. Well, if we get that car paid for, guess what? You have an extra $700 every month to be pumping into a savings account, and you'll be able to rebuild your emergency fund and recover from when things go wrong much quicker. So step 2, save $1,000 to $2,000. It's up to you. Step 3, so this is the debt snowball. If you're not familiar with the debt snowball, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take all of the debts you have, you're going to list them smallest debt. So even if it's like a $45 credit card to Lowe's, and then your biggest debt that might be like a student loan that's like, you know, $20,000, or maybe it's a vehicle that's like $60,000, whatever it is. You're going to list all of your debts in order from smallest to largest. Okay, you're also going to include your minimum monthly payment. You can even use some calculators that'll take the interest rate into consideration. But what I really want you to do is I want you to list them smallest to largest. Also, those minimum payments are going to stack. After you pay off that first debt, so let's say that it is $45 for Lowe's. the minimum payment on it was 20 bucks. Well, the next credit card we had was 100 bucks to Home Depot. Maybe you just love fixing things up. And so what you're gonna do is the minimum payment for that Home Depot one is also 20 bucks, but you were paying 20 bucks already for Lowe's. You're gonna take that 20 bucks and you're gonna add it on top of the minimum payment to the next debt. So the next debt is the Home Depot card. So you're going to take it and you're going to now start making a minimum payment of $40 on this Home Depot card. So see what I did? Instead of making a $20 payment, you're now making a $40 payment, and it goes down faster. Let's say the next loan that you have is a student loan and it's like $2,500. Minimum payment is like, I don't know, 250 bucks. Well, you're gonna take that 40 bucks that you were spending on the other two credit cards and you're gonna apply it to the minimum payment for the student loan. So you're going to start, instead of paying $250 towards the student loan, you're going to start paying $290 because you took the 40 bucks that you were paying on the other two, and you're going to add it to the minimum payment to this student loan and start paying on it. So what it does is it's a lot like chopping down trees. Every debt is a tree. The minimum payment that you're making on it is the size of your axe. So for the small trees, the small debts, we have a little axe. But what we do is we take this little axe and we apply it to the next axis to make it bigger. The axes keep getting bigger and bigger, so that way whenever you get to those big loans at the very end that are like, you know, maybe you have a big $60,000 loan and you're wanting to pay it off and you decide you're not going to sell it but you're going to pay it off. What you can do there is, since you've paid off all your other debts, you take all those other minimum payments and you add them up to whatever the car payment is. So let's say your car payment's like 700 bucks. So you take all the minimum payments that you had. It turns out that all those minimum payments added up together was like $1,000. So now instead of paying it 700 bucks, you're gonna be paying 1,700 bucks. So you're gonna knock down that car loan way faster than what you would have just making the minimum payment. Also, I recommend using some debt calculators just to figure out when you're going to be debt free. That's really motivating because anytime you don't hit the budget or don't make your payments or anything like that, it just pushes that date further on. And that's also, whenever you start this debt snowball, you have decided, I am not taking on any more debt ever again. Okay, next is going to be a fully funded emergency fund. So this is when you're going to take your living expenses and multiply it by either 3 or 6. I really don't want to go past 6 because at that point you're starting to lose money, because if you guys didn't know this, there's a big inflation problem right now. So when you have cash set aside in a bank, it's losing its value at 8% right now as of December 2021. So you don't want to have all your investments in cash because they're not growing. So you really only have 3 to 6 months. Depends on your occupation. If you're in a volatile industry, go 6. If you're not, go 3. If you're a single parent, go 6. If you're a one working parent, go 6. Just kind of understand your situation. Okay, next one's going to be invest 15% of your income. So this is 15% of your take-home pay. So let's say that every month you're bringing in, $3,000 net. That's after taxes and everything. The whole family is bringing in $3,000. That's you and your spouse if you're married. And so we need to be setting aside at least 15. I've even told some people, let's bump it up to 20. But let's go ahead and look at that. Let's say that you are going to, so that's going to be, so it's gonna be 450 bucks. So if you're making net $3,000 a month, you're gonna be wanting to invest 450 bucks a month. What that's gonna do is that's going to establish a large sum of money whenever you're ready to retire. And not only that, we want a giant sum of money, not just to be able to retire and do what we want. We want to be able to have a giant thing of cash to be able to leave to our kids, and even have the ability to leave it to our children's children, right? That's out of Proverbs. Proverbs says that a wise man is able to leave an inheritance not only to his children, but his children's children. Okay, 6, this is gonna be after we're able to afford our own retirement, we wanna focus on our kids' retirement next. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that because they wanna be sacrificial to their kids, but hear me out. Whenever you're on an airplane and they are going through their safety protocol, what do they tell you about you and your child? They say, put your mask on first if something happens, then your kids. Why is that? It's because if you go unconscious, you're not going to be able to help your kid at all. So you need to take care of yourself first before you can help your kid. There are so many people I know who are having to financially support their parents right now that it's absolutely killing them financially. It is preventing them from chasing their dreams. It is preventing them from starting the business that they'd like to start. It's preventing them from being able to enjoy their immediate family the way they'd like to. It just, what it does is you get in the way and you become a burden. Don't be a burden to your kids. Be a blessing to your kids. So prioritize your retirement first before your children's college or whatever fund you're saving for them. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but please swallow it. I promise you'll be thankful in the end, and your kids will be very thankful in the end. All right, 7, we want to pay the house off early. Why? That's not smart investment advice. I've heard that 100 times. I get the argument. You can maximize your dollar potential in the stock market versus the house. I get it. Here's the thing though, I'm a believer in ownership. I think you should own the things you have. Not saying that there's anything wrong with a mortgage. I think you have to have a mortgage in today's climate. I think it's impossible just about. However, I want to pay that home off because guess what? I want to be the king of my castle, and I want to be able to have even more money set aside to be able to invest after I'm not having to make a mortgage payment anymore. I get the math that it makes sense to maximize every dollar into the stock market or whatever investments that you have, real estate outside of that. I get that argument, but here we talk about debt freedom. We talk about not being burdened by anything. And that's something I want for you. That's something that we're focused on personally. I hope that that's something that you consider because I think that is a fantastic option. Okay, last, this is the fun part. This is whenever you've taken care of all the other steps and you just got money now, right? And it's not money to be a rich, snobby person, right? That's not our goal. We want to hit those goals that you just talked about at the beginning of the video, those 5 goals. If we're hitting those and we're building wealth, guess what we get to do now? We get to spoil people, and we get to be a blessing to not only our family, but to friends, to charities, to our church, whatever it is that we're involved in, we get to be a blessing to them. And I strongly encourage you, if that is not a goal of yours, to be a blessing to people eventually with your finances, you're gonna miss it and you're gonna end up not enjoying life. So that's why I want you to encourage you to do. If you want to crush it in 2022, focus on these 8 steps, do them one at a time, right? Focus on building that budget first. Then, even if you're using an app, I'm okay with you using an app. Just get a budget going first. So we're gonna focus on that. Do that first. Guys, I hope that your 2022 is amazing. I hope you crush it. I'm absolutely rooting for you. Please be a part of the Debt Free Mafia. I did a poll recently. It was 100% of the followers I had on my Instagram said that our content helped them make better financial decisions. So I hope that's you too. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit the like button for me to support me. I love you guys. I hope you have a really good 2022 and also a Merry Christmas if you catch that before then. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.